All right, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program once again. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana, and we're definitely taking a road trip down memory lane of what happened on the ad hoc committee yesterday in Parliament. So there's a lot that's been said after the discussion, where, of course, the rep from the minority side appeared before the House to present his evidence and witnesses why he thinks that Finance Minister should be removed by the motion, the censure motion that the minority team actually presented. Well, so let's see how the analysis is going. We're going to be discussing the happenings on the committee, some of the statements that were made, the body language, and reasons why the minority still insists that Ken must go. And also, we also know that some analysts or some experts have come, or descended heavily on Katie Hammond. It's a co-chaired committee, remember. It's a co-chair committee. But by some acts of Katie Hammond, he seemed to be in the lead of the trends as far as the work of the ad hoc committee is concerned. We'll be discussing that as well here on the platform. I am Ania Fompofo, and let's take a breather. When we come back, the guests will join me and we'll start the discussion. All right, you're welcome back. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana, and we're discussing the work of the ad hoc committee that has started in Parliament House. And, it has to do with the vote motion or the censure motion that is seeking the removal of the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. This afternoon, I'll be having a discussion with Elikem Kotoko. He's been out of the scene for some time now, but he will join us here on the platform. He's Deputy National Organizer, NDC, and I'm sure he is actually running for a bit, again in the upcoming elections. When he gets here, I think we'll ask some more questions on that. But Alfred Abebiokumi, a.k.a. Kofi, my namesake, is also here. He is former NPP parliamentary aspirant for the Adenton constituency. Are you going again?
Yes, I'm going again.
You're going again?
Yes, I'm going again.
Oh.
Okay. I'm going again.
Okay. That will be interesting. I mean, so how many names have come up now? You?
Right now in the parliamentary primaries, I think two other names, but I'm not going to give them mileage on the show.
No. I just want the number of.
Yeah,
I don't want to do you a disservice. So.
No. Come on.
Yes.
But two, because we've not picked the forms, so I wouldn't want to speculate. Maybe someone can
definitely
change their decision. So I wouldn't want to put anybody's name up. But I have two people that I know that are also contesting for the primaries in Adenta constituency. And first of all, I want to say good afternoon to your cherished listeners. And we are in a difficult time as a country, and we are hoping that there's a time that we can all come together as a country in this difficult time. We know, yes, there's a party in power. We expect more from them. But in situations like this, it should be collective, in the collective interest of we Ghanaians, that we should do well and have an economy running the way we want to have it. So we are praying that Ghanaians will get that hope restored back and move. It doesn't matter whether MPP is going to win the election in 2024. But from now till then, we have to ask ourselves, should we pray that we suffer, or we should pray that things get better?
Right.
I believe that we all have to pray that things get better for all of us.
Okay, so Samuel Bing is also Executive Director, Parliamentary Network Africa. He will join us via Zoom. But this afternoon, production team decided to, assemble fairly young persons within the political space to see and just to check how their thinking faculty is like. Is it like the Katie Hammonds? Oh, it's like the Annies, what exactly do they belong to? So let's see if it's going to be more partisan, or we have a different mindset that will come to the table with. What's the generation coming up with? Because they definitely will be taking up the mantle from Katie Hammonds and his people. and maybe Ken Oforiatta and the Dems when they leave the scene. So Elikem has joined me definitely. Elikem, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Annie.
Are you okay?
Yes, I am. Except for this, I had a little hit while fixing something. So a huge rod almost fractured me. So I was struggling to. It's my reason for being some few minutes late, and I apologize.
Didn't think that
Yeah.
you had a problem. I knew you had been out of the scene for a while.
Yeah. I also knew you were out of the country because I knew that there was a camel's back you were on, and that could never have been
We
from
don't have
Ghana's
camels
zoo.
in Ghana. I'm back. I'm not.
Yeah.
You can
Welcome. Yeah, I can see.
I'm back.
Welcome.
Anyway, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So I was asking him about his bid on the Adentan constituency, and I think you're also running an executive
yes.
slot. What's that?
Deputy National Organizer of the NDC.
Okay.
Yes. Basically, you play a complementary role to the national organizer. However, you would have to stress or lay emphasis on the fact that that department acts as the fulcrum of the entire party machinery. Because if the organizing department is not well-oiled, efficient, and effective, there's that rippling effect that it gets on the women's wing, on the youth, and the party at large. Then it becomes an onus on only maybe the communication, but that alone may not suffice for what you seek to achieve. Yes.
All right. So I'm sure. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
It's been a little unpredictable. Unlike the NPP, a few were predictable.
Yeah.
But yours has been quite unpredictable.
That is the beauty of democracy and contests. I mean, when challenges are, when such contests are challenging, then the victory also becomes sweet when you attain it.
Yeah.
Yes.
At the national level, where is the venue going to be?
That has not been settled on yet. The
Okay.
date currently, though, is being set to 17th. I don't know if it's been still confirmed as the
Date.
exact date. So I think as we move on, now that we are done with almost 95% done with the regional elections, with a few, I think Eastern will be done this weekend. The women's wing in Ashanti will be also soon, and some others, and then we'll be all set. But I mean, largely 95% or more are done with their elections, and so they'll settle on a date, whichever way, be it north, south, middle belt, wherever. We'll avail ourselves.
Anyway, we but give us all the details as soon as possible, so we in the media can also do
Most definitely.
what we have to do before
Most
the
definitely.
program.
I must say on authority that we pride ourselves as having one of the most efficient communications department this time as well. And so there will not be any hesitation in rolling out that timetable and getting the media involved. I take so much excitement in the fact that the youth involvement in politics is so encouraging. However, I have always sent caution that let it not be for the position or the title, but for the work that is supposed to be done. Because if not, if for instance I say that the likes of Edu Boahin will be saying that you need $200,000 as appearance fee to see the vice president, I should condemn it not because I want to come to power and make it 500,000, because it's supposed to be zero. So we intend to improve and not to rather perpetuate the current situation.
Okay, well, let's start the discussion. Ellie is already going into it. Anyway, so let's go straight into the point. It's about the ad hoc committee that started its work yesterday, and I'll start off with Kofi. Kofi, of course, Kweti has been in the trend, so let me just start with him straight. Are you proud of him?
Proud of him. When you say, am I proud of him as an MP?
Okay, pertaining
or-
to his work on the committee, which just started yesterday.
Well, I always say that when it comes to matters that we politicize, you always have opinions sharply divided. He's a co-chairman on the committee, and other that things will be run fairly. You also have lawyer, is it Dominic?
Dominic Ayene.
Lawyer Dominic Ayeni also on. So if you ask me if I'm proud of him, they are doing a great job. There's not been an outcome or a ruling that somebody is saying anything about it. So they've done a good job so far. And I think yesterday, what Katie was trying to do is to bring that spirit of fairness that the defendant's lawyer actually requested for. So it's been a steady job they are both doing, because I've seen objections that the co-chair has also raised, that you sit somewhere and you think it's not the best, but it was just the beginning. We have to give them time in the end to know what's going on. Maybe someone will say that when he started and said they don't have to use names like the Honorable, he's just trying to make the environment conducive so that they can all have a good discussion. Because whatever is going on in Parliament, in that parliamentary committee, is something that is helping, one, the beauty of our democracy, and to also strengthen governance. So it's not just about an individual, but it's about the collective group and what they seek to achieve from the workings of the committee.
All right, Ellie, also your,
opening
comment.
Annie, I think sincerely, Honorable Katie Hammond, in my perspective, stripped himself of that title, Honorable, from his mannerisms and conduct yesterday. If there was any apt definition or description of his conduct yesterday, I would say either it was jocular or very clownish. The fact that he was one particular person who was critical of the young men. If you recall, some days or weeks ago, he made some statements trying to more or less call young men some names that we have empty heads like coconut and diet and all that. And to have him conduct himself the way he did, I found it to be very jocular, because he was needlessly interjecting, and I think he was even suffering from amnesia, because he could not recall the things he was saying himself. I listened to him multiple times ask Honorable, the leader of the minority, and so what? And so what? Yet when it was thrown back to him that was what he was saying, which was improper, he said he never said so. How could he have said so?
No, he said that. Okay, so I have a video.
Yeah, so initially he said
we have the news story on that. He said he said so what, pertaining to what,
and you see,
in what context?
That was just a smart way of always trying to eventually circumvent and come to accept that I said it, but in this context. Initially he said so. I never said so. How could I have said so? That was what he said. Then along the line, he asked even the Honorable Dominic Ayeni, and he said, yes, Mr. Chairman, that was what you said. Then he said, oh, how? Okay, in context, this was what I meant. But he was in denial of it in the first time, only to move along and then say. And well, I think we'll come to the substance of the matter itself as well.
Right.
Too.
I'll just take you down memory lane. And Henry, my producer, has put together a story. Let's just view the story. We'll be back on what activities happened on the committee. We'll be back shortly.
Proponent of a motion aimed at removing Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta for his alleged mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy provided evidence on Tuesday to back their basis for his disapproval.
And I want to plea to him that even the watch seller on the street want him to go.
The probe turned feisty on many occasions as some members of the committee and the respondent clashed. Comments and mannerisms by co-chair Katie Hammond has since made him somewhat unpopular among some Ghanaians. There were heated exchanges between Haruna Idrisu and Katie Hammond when the minority leader was leading evidence to buttress the 7 grounds for the vote of censure filed against the finance minister.
Petroleum, I just wanted to tender this in evidence for the purpose of your committee. And if I have your indulgence...
No, that's fine. So what? You finish with the oil one? Yes. You finish with the cathedral?
When you ask someone, when you use words like so what, that's not good.
Who said so what?
You.
So what? How do you
just
so
said
what?
that.
No.
You said so what?
About what? So what about what?
You said it.
I couldn't have because it's of no...
You did. If after a submission you say, so what?
No, I couldn't have because it's of no...
And
it has no relationship, Arun.
And Chairman, when
what has no relationship?
When you use words like that, the
Arun,
public
aren't
is
you
following.
listening to me? Anybody here recall exactly what I meant if I said it?
So what?
So what? Relating to what?
The situation wasn't any different when a member of the committee, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, took his turn during the hearing.
We
this committee can decide not to hear strangers. It's very clear. Standing Order 2022.
Who is the stranger now? Who is the stranger now?
No. Once you are not a member of parliament, that is how the standing order describes
So
them.
who is the stranger? Who is the stranger person?
That is how the standing order describes them.
I understand. I understand. Who is allow Sami to answer for himself. Who is the stranger?
We are working, and we are here to do our job. So please, let that be clear.
Yeah, that's fine. It's clear.
Co-chairs of the ad hoc committee also traded some few words.
Yeah, go senior chair.
Okay, well, you are my senior in parliament, but you are my junior at the bar.
When were you called to the bar?
I was called to the bar in October 1995.
And you call yourself senior? I was called to the Bar of England and Wales in November 1991.
Well, an English lawyer has no license to practice in Ghana.
The Member of Parliament for Adansia Soka, Katie Hammond, also suggested that he is unaware of the current fuel prices because he does not have a car.
Yes. And Chairman, on hardship, I'm sure you yourself, you pay for fuel, you buy fish.
I don't buy fuel,
products.
so don't talk about me. I don't buy fuel.
Therefore,
I don't have a car. I don't buy fuel.
When we allege here that there is excruciating hardships.
I don't have a car.
This is contrary to his earlier assertion that he was reeling under the impact of the recent fuel price increment.
Tell you something horrific. A few days ago, I went to the garage, pumped the fuel into the car. The bloke came up and gave me a bill. It was almost a third world war at the garage, at the station. Why is he giving me this? He said just yesterday the price of diesel, the price of super moved to what the price of diesel used to be. Diesel is now 20 whatever. I was about complaining to a colleague in the profession a day after.
Taking to various social media platforms to express their displeasure, most Ghanaians believe Katie Hammond is deliberately watering the atmosphere with unsolicited comic display. Others have accused his inclusion as a means to drag the proceedings, while some have called his presence on the chair a shield for Ken Oforiatta. Henry Kwesi Bedu, Metro News.
All right, so that's the story put together by Henry Kwesi Bedu, my producer. So we also have Sami Obing, who is Executive Director, Parliamentary Network for Africa, who's joined us via Zoom. Sami, thank you for your time. You're welcome to Good Afternoon, Ghana. Hello, Sami. Okay, okay, we're trying to see if we can hear him. Sami, if you can unmute. All right, let's the producers work on that, and I'll come to the studio straight. So, at least we've taken you, to what happened on the committee yesterday. That was their day 2. I think it will continue tomorrow. Why must we drag ourselves so hard to get here? And of course, especially when we're seeing videos of Ken Oforiatta trending on social media, cameras capturing him dozing off, obviously not in a good, healthy state.
So, Annie, it's the party, or let me say, the majority, over 80% of 80 members of parliament at the majority caucus have made it clear that there are reasons why they want Oforiatta out. They even included the fact that they wanted a Dubois out, and when you take a look at it, we all know, we all come to the point where we agree. It's like both caucuses in parliament agree that Oforiatta must go. But we are where we are now because a certain group in parliament or the minority caucus feel that there should be a different way through which he should go. In fairness, it was the majority that came out to say that we want the finance minister out. We have 80 members of parliament in the majority caucus who said they want the minister out. They had a conversation with the president, and the president gave some timelines. I believe that if the minority wanted to actually do business with the majority, we would have all stick to the timeline before even a motion of censure was pushed in Parliament. Because it wasn't that the president said, I'll not let him go. That's not what the president said. He said, okay, let him do this and that, and within that process, when that event is done, he's going. So at the back of the majority in Parliament, they know that that is what they are waiting for when budget and the negotiation with the IMF is done. Even with that, we have people in that same majority that are still negotiating with the president that, no, this and this and this is why we want him to go. So it's become a conversation between a majority in Parliament
and the
executive. Then you come and you ask yourself, in what interest will make the minority push for a vote of censure, whilst they know that that vote of censure needs 2/3 of Parliament? Then you ask yourself, what is the interest there? What is going on with that? Because you know
what's
that
the interest of the minority?
yes, what's the interest?
Is that a question that's coming up in your head?
Yes, that's the question coming up in my head.
Why?
Because,
Why? Because the opposition, they have every right to
yes, no, they have
register their displeasure with any decision.
you are not nobody is asking you. Even the majority have registered their displeasure.
Oh, so
Yes.
they should take a back seat.
No, nobody is saying take a back seat. But you knew that you need that 2/3. So why don't you have a broader consultation to say, so that the minority is saying that they want the minister to go now. So they are taking a vote of censure. You know that vote of censure, you need the votes of the majority. So you ask yourself, did you have a broader consultation? Because if I'm going to a place and I know that I have to go with you, and I decide to go there alone to make to do a campaign there to drag you there, it's not fair. It's not fair. So the majority sits back and asks, it questions your motive that this is a motion that we are all pushing in Parliament, but you are turning back and advancing the motion in another way. Was it not the majority that came out to say that the minister should go? So,
but when you look at the optics of the press conference held by the majority
Yes.
group, it begs the question of why not support the minority? Because you looked and appeared so desperate that kick the Kenuforiata out now.
okay.
So why not easily
Annie,
support a group?
Annie, let me say, in all fairness, or bringing justice to our table, if today you commit, let's say you commit a crime, or let's say, your work, not even a crime, your work, as you are doing your work, and your performance today here wasn't good, then someone raises, Elikim and I agrees that you should go. I'm basically talking about your performance. Then Elikim comes that, oh, she's late. She comes to work late. When she comes, she's supposed to have a little powder so that the screen does not shine on her face. But she doesn't do it because she thinks she's beautiful. But I don't agree with those things.
With those reasons.
With those reasons. Do I have to follow him to push? Whilst we are already on the negotiating table to let you go. Do I have to, because I want you to go, then I support his reasons?
Okay, because
in
you're
all
already on the
yes, in all
negotiating
fairness,
table.
would it be fair?
Okay.
Would it be fair to you as a presenter on Metro TV?
Okay.
It wouldn't be fair. So I was very happy when the matter was referred to the committee in order that everybody, when it's telecast or televised, everybody will be able to know that these are the issues and these are the supporting evidence. Yesterday, I was listening to the proceedings, and one thing I found very serious and dangerous is that, and I said to myself, we should not use parliamentary powers just because we have it to mess people's lives.
How's that?
Yes, you make an allegation. You make an allegation.
You
that,
appreciate how serious Parliament
Yes,
is. So earlier
I
on,
appreciate
when you
how
even
serious-
said that Katie Hammond was probably trying to, neutralize the environment, I sort of disagreed with you, because the moment matters of your office is taken to a place like Parliament is a serious issue. Except for the fact that maybe at where we find ourselves as a country, we don't consider these things too serious, and
Okay.
so we joke with it, sometimes. But it's a very serious committee at this level where your matter has been taken up, and they're saying that sack him because of his incompetence.
Okay, I get where you are coming from. What I was referring to about Katie's issue was that, you see, when there is tension and you want someone to deliver, it's better to give the person the ground so that they can express themselves very well.
Right.
The fact that Parliament is a serious place doesn't mean that we need to allow the environment to bring fear and panic. And when the person is talking, then the person is making mistakes and not putting their sentences together. Would you rather have a committee that allows somebody to be able to express themselves, or you rather have a committee that is like, there's this tension on you and you're not able to say the facts, then we are still dragging our feet? That's where I was coming from with Katie's issue. But yes, others may see it in a different light. But what I was saying about the abuse of Parliament's power by the minority, I was referring to the fact that, you see, when I allege something, Parliament is a house of records. And before those records came, Parliament was making laws. Parliament is governed by our Constitution, and it was Parliament that helped put together the Constitution. So Parliament is a house of records, and it's a house of law. It is this same Parliament, and it is this same Parliament that has made laws in the Constitution that says that he who alleges must prove. If I come and if I say that someone has conflict of interest, and I tell you that I'm bringing you a whole document, whilst we need specific allegations, maybe you tell me that this is the budget, 2020 budget. In 2020 budget, this is an amount of money that was supposed to be allocated to maybe common fund, but that money never got to common fund. Then you raise substantive, evidence to that. But if I tell you that because fuel prices are this, because fuel prices are high, because of maybe the hard economic hardship, then I present a whole document.
Okay,
and
before I go to Elikem, did you pay attention to the committee?
Yes, I was paying attention.
Did you watch it?
Yes, I was watching it.
Did you listen to some of the submissions being put together or brought
I paid
to the
attention to
by, what's his name?
Atto. Yes.
Did you?
I really paid attention to it.
And you think they were just peripherals?
Well, trust me, I think it was just some sham.
Really?
Trust me.
Okay.
I think there's no, you see, there's a difference between when policy direction has not helped the country or a certain policy has not favored the country. And there's a difference between you attacking someone, for example, saying that there's a conflict of interest. When I tell you that your company, a company you worked in, because of a company you worked in, you give them, there was a contract, and because you worked in that company, there's a conflict of interest. I want to see something like some money was transferred into an account that you benefit. But if you tell me that a company that I worked in, it's getting a contract that I am going to benefit from, it tells me that we don't have really anything to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me come to Elikem.
And if for once, I kind of feel sleepy in your studio. I'm just asking myself, with the greatest of respect, if this is a young man who also wants to be a member of parliament for a certain constituency. I mean, I can't even make head or tail of his submissions. With what went on yesterday, and he thinks it's a sham, it's a joke. At one point in time, the jocular Katie Hammond's gestures were just in order to calm people down and all kind of, I mean, let's get serious for once. And I'm surprised where he's drawing some of his submissions from. In the first place, it is not Parliament that passed any law to say that he who accuses alleges must come with evidence. That is just a basic law of justice. He needs to know. So don't go saying anywhere that it's Parliament that passed that. In the second place, look, Ken Oforiatta, why are we even here in the first place? You are an appointee. Your own people have expressed distrust or mistrust or do not have confidence in you. And they said, Mr. President, if you don't fire him, we may not consider some of what your submissions that will come to Parliament. What does that tell you? That is censure, unless you want to hear them make mention of censure. And then the appointer, the president, is saying that I still love him. He is my cousin. He is my family member. It's difficult to fire him. Therefore, let's go through all the processes. I even want him to engage the IMF before I fire him.
He didn't say he's my cousin. I still love
He
him.
didn't have to say it. We already know that. By his continual
But
defense.
you know by assumption.
Yes, by his continuous defense of the finance minister, it's an exact concretization.
Yeah, by
of
his
those.
defense, he was specific with
Yes.
his defense. He talked about how when the finance minister came in, the government had come in with new policies which were capital intensive. And on the back of COVID-19 and other economic challenges, the finance minister was able to implement some of the very difficult policies he mentioned, free SHS and the others.
Have we not had it now?
And so he had good defense why he thinks
I
that the
don't think that
finance
was good
minister
defense
should
at all.
Good defense to him.
When was free SHS introduced? Free SHS was way before COVID. And our currency, for instance, took a nosedive before COVID. When was the Forest Committee that had Franklin Kojo and co formed? 17th of January, February 2020. Did we register any case of COVID at the time? No. So why do they keep making this noise about COVID and Ukraine as though we even borrow and lend the money to Ukraine in order for them to solve their problems? Then, because a finance minister is not willing to go, even though the entire country is even saying same, we now have to spend the scarce resources to again set up even a committee to sit, have him come there and be slipping off, which looked obvious that he was not even in good health, which is not something anybody wishes him. So, to what end does it matter to the MPP to realize that there's a need to ask him to take leave? And in any case, why are they making it look like, apart from Ken Oforiatta, there's no other competent person to take over from him? Not forgetting the fact that these were the very apostles who were on rooftops screaming that we were the competent managers of the economy. We have the men. We just failed to ask which kind of men they were talking about. Then you are now talking of the fact that if I have had a business before or I work for a company and my company has had a contract, let's stop this hogwash. People know what exactly we are talking about. Or because today a certain company is not no more in the name of the exact person we are talking of, so you think Ghanaians do not know who it belongs to? You see, I find it very worrying that he was saying that we want to test every arm or every power of the Constitution or Parliament because committees exist and all that. But who is making us do this? When your own caucus, part of your members, came out to issue that release, had Oforiatta just come out to say, based on what they said, I think that I want to give way for somebody else to do so, would we have been where we are today? So drawing in the minority in certain subtle ways as though the minority is responsible, come to think of it, in a democracy, you have given reasons why you think Ken should go. The minority agrees with your reasons and adds more to it. You see, you can't be attaching some kind of needless hypothesis to the submissions he made. For instance, Annie is not performing well. Then she comes and she doesn't use makeup because she thinks she's beautiful. That's apples and oranges. It's Annie is coming to work and she's not performing. Then secondly, she comes to work late. And then she talks to the other people harshly. Those are additions to what is contributing to her, your failure. That is what we are talking about.
Matter of fact, I don't think the majority group even, presented any other document or evidence or proof why they think that the finance minister should go. They just held a press conference.
They just held a press conference. So how about that? Your majority who held a press conference didn't give any evidence. They only could tell that, look, the finance minister has not been of help.
But
Policies that have
I
actually
can
been pushed
confirm
out.
that document was given to the president
Well,
when they met him.
that is what you can confirm. You guys know how to confirm everything. Not even the president is aware of what you're saying. The last time we checked, he was not aware how Aisha Huang left this country. So please spare us that. Yes, not even the president is aware of a lot of things in this country.
Mere propaganda, so it's fine.
No, are you aware the president said he didn't know whether Aisha Huang fled or absconded?
No, that's not what we are talking about.
I'm giving you an example. You just cited the president. Be careful.
No, you
how you cite him. He's not aware.
you said there was a document that was given to the man when they met him.
To who?
To the president when they met him.
We can't tell that for now because the president is in the habit of not confirming things. He's not on top of his job. That is one fact also, which is very depressing.
Well,
look, we find
own
ourselves in an economic mess. And if you have a regime still talking to you about free SHS at this time, then that is a regime that is useless. You instituted this during your first tenure of office. And you are still, even in spite of the challenges, it is the only thing you want to keep referring to. Then if it is not free SHS, then you want to tell us it's about COVID-19. If it is not COVID-19, then you are telling us it's about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Are we the only countries in this world? Are we the only country in this world? So how come we are suffering more than the other countries? Why did the World Bank tell us, Frank Laporte told us, that Ghana's economic woes is as a result of what? Mismanagement, the needless and reckless borrowing, and the corruption, the no more scandals. So we have actually been inefficient and ineffective from the word go. Let me tell you, it is not about speaking big words, grammar, sounding nice. Yes, that is why the Ghanaian on the street now says that Nado Dankwa Akufo-Addo, if he had not been president, people would have been saying that, oh, he would have been the president, the best president we never had. So what is leadership at all if you are given the role and you're not able to actually surmount the challenges or the adversities that you confront? So this is a regime that is always complaining. Okay. When you are even giving them solutions, they call it propaganda. They turn around. This is the same finance minister who had absolutely no idea what IMF was about. So he stood at every opportunity to condemn IMF that we are not going today, we are not going tomorrow, we are a proud nation. Then sheepishly, his deputies also followed him in parliament. We are not going to IMF today, we are not going tomorrow. The next week, there we were. X-splash in their faces.
Hold on, then let me engage Sami Obin. Let's see if we have him this time. Sami, thank you for your time once again. Can you hear me? Hello, Sami.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, what will be your, opinion about the first sitting of the ad hoc committee that's in charge of the, motion of censure?
Well, I think that from the very onset, the committee set out the modus operandi of its sitting by indicating that this first sitting was going to be for the proponents of the motion to put across their case, to substantiate each and every one of the 8 grounds for which the motion had been filed. And they were going to give an opportunity to the finance minister, who, per the Constitution of the Republic, has had to appear before the committee to, defend himself of the various allegations that have been leveled against him. I think that they started off on a very good note. I think that the proponents of the motion, also gave some great presentations on why they have had to file the motion and why the motion needs to be upheld. I also believe that there were some few glitches, things that shouldn't have happened on the first day. But overall, to answer your question directly, I think it was a very good first day for the committee.
The glitches, I'm interested in what you identified as glitches.
Well, it is to be expected that for a parliamentary committee that has an even number of members from either sides, you'll have, the occasional party politicking, creeping into the conversation. It's also expected that for a committee that has people from either sides co-chairing, you certainly would have 1 or 2 instances of, disagreements here and there. Even in instances where there is just a single chairman with a ranking, you have some of these things. But I know that parliamentary committees, before they sit in public, do have, their own engagements in camera to be able to agree on the rules of engagement. And I think that the honorable member for Adansia Sokwa if I got that right, Mr. Katie Hammond, as a co-chair, could have conducted himself better, in yesterday's sitting. It is my expectation that the committee, in their own, private conversations, will be able to talk about this particular subject matter, so that on Friday they will come up as one that shows a very good advertisement of itself. Because in these times when the people of Ghana are concerned about the many challenges that are going on, the least you expect from a committee of parliament that has been formed to engage on a serious matter as this one would be for any acts that seeks to take the people of Ghana for granted, any act that seeks to make a mockery, so to speak, of the process.
Was it a fair request on the part of the council, Gabi Asare-Chidakun, requesting 48 hours for, the accused to probably go through, evidence presented by members of maybe the other side, especially on the Ato Forson side? Was it a fair request?
Well, I would have been surprised if counsel for the finance minister did not make that request. I would have been very surprised. If you follow parliamentary procedure, especially those ones that takes place at committee level, and those ones that require that people who have been called to testify on one issue or the other and have evidence adduced against them, would usually have them requesting to be able to see all of the documentation. Remember that parliamentary committees are akin to the High Court. And so even in the court system, you would have counsel for one side requesting to see documents from the other side, so they'll be able to peruse properly, so they can be able to make their case more effectively. So I would have been surprised if they had not made that particular request. Of course, they made it forcefully. They were able to get the 48-hour request that they made to be able to look into it, although it affects the timing and the deadlines that the committee has been given. But yes, I mean, it is within their rights to request, and they made a request, and they got what they requested.
So, with as it being a work of parliament, do you think that the atmosphere is fair for Ken Ofori-Atta?
Oh yes. I mean, this was a very, very important matter. The Right Honorable Speaker, the Constitution is very clear. The process for censorship motion for a Minister of State, is very clear. After, whatever motion has been filed, the Constitution is very clear that whoever is at the center of the motion should be given the opportunity to be heard. And so the fairness begins from that opportunity for him to be heard, through which a committee of parliament is established. Parliamentary procedure where all the members of parliament, or proceedings where all the members of parliament get the opportunity to speak about the matter, are held, live for everybody to watch. So I think that it's also fair that parliament decided that this one should also be, broadcast live for all of us to be able to hear the finance minister and his side of the story. I think that from the very onset, he is in the room. He's heard what his accusers, so to speak, have had to put across. He and his lawyers have been given the opportunity to rebut where need be, and they have their day. This time not in court, but at the committee on Friday. So I think it's a smooth process, and would expect to hear what he has to say on those 8 grounds for which the motion had been filed.
All right, Sammy, hold on there. Let's take a breather. When we come back, we'll take a wrap up on this issue. What we should be expecting going forward, since the committee is expected to resume tomorrow. Welcome back to Good Afternoon Ghana. Okay, so let's go back to the committee. I still have Elikem Kotoko with me, and I also have Alfred with me. Also, Sammy Obin still with us via Zoom. Sammy, you're still there, right? Okay, let me come back to you.
Yes, I am.
All right, okay. I'm back to you, Alfred. So, what do you expect to see going forward?
Well, you see...
briefly, because...
an allegation has been made against the minister, and he's appeared before the committee. The most important thing is that we look at how justice will prevail, but it should be done in fairness, so that we don't have to look like somebody's reputation is being dragged. Yes, MPP wants him out, but we have to be fair with the person. The fact that his work has not been up to tax does not mean that we need to crucify him. So we are looking for the outcome. We are looking forward to the outcome of the committee, and whatever will happen.
Let me ask you this question. If Ken were your father, would you have advised him to continue this work? Or
To be honest, if Ken was my dad and I had the opportunity to advise him, I'll tell him to step down. Because there's a saying in Tree, I'm an Akan. There's a saying in Akan that enimguasie enfata akeniba. But if you work with a group of people and they say that, oh, we are not ready to work with you anymore, you've done your part, go. It shouldn't be difficult. I was telling someone the last time in Tree, in the good interest of all, you should have resigned a long time for all these things to go. We wouldn't have been sitting here talking about votes of censure. We would have been talking about other matters that are very important to the nation. So as a party, we are not happy with it, but once it's come, we need to do what is right for God and country. Thank you.
Yeah, Annie, I think it is becoming very difficult for the president because we all know that when the finance minister reads the budget, he does it on behalf of the president. Feels that the eggs have been splashed in his face also. That is why there is difficulty in firing the finance minister, coupled with the fact that he's a relative. So I wish I could wake up tomorrow for the finance minister to say himself, I don't wish to take the country through this needless, wasteful exercise because I am patriotic. I am always clad in white, preaching the gospel, and therefore I want to resign. That would be one of the good news Ghanaians will wake up to. I don't see it happening anyway, so the process must still continue. Then it rings a bell about the fact that we also have a co-chair there who has become very clownish or comical or very jocular. You have a Katie Hammond. Like I told you, he stripped himself of the title honorable with his submissions to the extent that he could not recall the things he said. Then he even said there that he does not drive. How?
He doesn't have a car.
He doesn't have a car. So he doesn't know the price of fuel. And you played another video, which was just some days or weeks before, which actually exposed him as being a liar. And you have a liar as a co-chair of a committee. What do you expect?
But there's a difference between, at some point he said he doesn't know the cost of fuel, which you could describe as a lie because he had already talked about being at the fuel station.
I've been at the fuel station.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when he says he doesn't have a car, I thought that.
Yeah, but
I can't hold it against him because he may have been driving somebody's car anyway.
But the reason why he was saying he doesn't have a car was because they were talking about economic hardship as a result of fuel price increases.
Right.
And he addressed fuel price increases some days earlier. So if you have such a person being co-chair of, and this is the person who was insulting young men, that we just have coconut heads. And I'm wondering what his now looks like when he's even bowed. You get my point? It's very nauseating that when as a young man you want to give respect to all those who are due, then they conduct themselves in ways you wonder and want to ask if they even have children or grandchildren themselves. Then you are left with no other option than to give them a full dose of the same thing that they are lashing on to us. Because come to think of it, Ghanaians are reeling under the economic hardships. And they will take time off to be watching television. Then the man is just being comical, taking everything as though it's just a playground, and will end up taking committee allowance for that.
Right. Is Sammy on? Sammy?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Your final words going forward, what are we expecting from the committee?
Well, the committee's work is a very serious responsibility it's been given. It's an ad hoc committee. It is working on a matter that, there are not too many precedents in parliamentary practice here in Ghana to rely on. What it means is that whatever they do or do not do, would have an effect on some of these issues going forward. It's expected that as they come back on Friday, they will discharge themselves creditably. I also expect that the final report that they present to plenary, because Constitution requires that all of these things are done within a certain limited time. The report they present to plenary, the conversations that takes place after that will not be one that will make people point back to Parliament and say, there they go again, a group of members of Parliament who always takes us for granted. I think this time around, we have a reason and a responsibility to make Ghanaians know that the Parliament of Ghana can work for us when the opportunity presents itself.
Right, Samuel Bain, thank you for your time. This one says that some messages, a very serious one that I think is a fallout from the economic challenge. It says that I'm from Adan. Please read this, I beg you. The youth of Sogonya are turning into thieves. We are hungry. Send people to do a report of this story. He didn't add his name, but I think my producers will have the details. Someone says, as indeed, God is really using Nana Akufo-Addo to punish us. Why is Ken the only mathematician in MPP? Yao, Lalas, Bubuashi. Good afternoon, Annie. Ken Oforiatta should have sacked himself the very next day after his Wache party. He wasted our resources to organize the party with bold statements that we are not going to the IMF again, but here we are. He has breached a lot. He had breached a lot of his very own laws he sent for approval at the parliament. So what is he waiting for? Where lies his integrity? Greetings to the incoming national organizer, deputy, you mean, Elikem Kotoko. This is from Eja Dugan. This one says that, Anne, please, these questions, ask these 3 questions to the MPP man in your studio. He's called Alfred, sorry. What at all does Ken Oforiatta wants to achieve being there? Will he die if he resigns from the post? Why do the Achim Mafia group wants them? I think this doesn't fall under Achim Mafia group.
Stated my position.
Yes,
on that already,
and I was just going to say that anyway. So yeah, he has told his position. Yeah. Good afternoon, Annie. I'm Eric from Ablekuma Abays. In fact, some of our leaders are joking with our hearts, the heart of this country. They don't believe in Ghana. They are there to show us that since they have the power, they have everything. But our ancestors of the beautiful country is bleeding and in their graves. Some of them just want power, but they don't want to have the country. They don't have the country at heart. One day they will pay for it. You say, good afternoon, Annie. Watching from Nkwanta Oti region. My name is Masoud Hamza Jr. In fact, Annie, Akufo-Addo will not let go of Ken Oforiatta because if Ken goes today, Ghanaians will realize the harm Akufo-Addo and his family are causing the country. Good afternoon, Annie. Please, do you recall that when similar calls were made for Mr. Setekpe, the then finance minister during the socio-economic turbulence under the S.Y. Mahama administration in 2015, the NDC-led majority caucus objected to those calls and rose to the defense of Setekpe, a clear indication that NDC lacks credibility on this matter. I feel so irritated when those powerless people that we voted for to represent us in Parliament talk showing they don't care what the citizens of the country feel. I want to ask, do we need any evidence before we do the needful? What is wrong with these so-called politicians? These MPP are the only people who don't admit to the fact that they have failed us. I'm from Dodoa. Great submissions by Elikem, and I really wish him well in his elections. Upon the mess ex-President Mahama took us through, the NDC still want him as a messiah. Why so? And that's all I'll end. My time is up. But thank you, gentlemen, for coming with me here on the show. Thank you. It has been Good Afternoon, Ghana. We're back on Friday, but this will be repeated again tomorrow. It will be repeated tomorrow. So keep dates with us. Thanks for watching.